So pensions in present day. Did some research here, guys. About 15% of people, workers, have access to both a pension and an employer-sponsored plan, and only about 10% of people have access to a pension. Now, you remember, at the peak, back in 1980, about 60% of private sector workers, just to get the facts here, private sector workers had access to a pension. So point being here, guys, pensions are not what they once were back in 1980.
Which really takes retirement planning to a whole new level, because whether or not you're successfully able to retire, have the lifestyle that you want to live in retirement is largely dependent upon you. And this is not something that you have to prepare for 1 year or 2 years prior to retirement. You really have to start preparing as soon as you possibly can. And this is why it's so important for the young workers of this world to start saving as soon as they possibly can, because even though 40 years seems like 3 lifetimes away, it's really going to get there before we know it, and we know that better than anybody.
Yeah, that's right.
The future comes really quickly.
And how often do we hear from our families, I cannot believe I'm turning 60 and 65, where do those years go? So they do go by extremely quick.
That's right, and that's why there's different phases of retirement planning. What we just referenced is the accumulation phase. And then what we typically talk about on this show is the pre-retirement phase, which is where you have to really start to identify, where's your income going to come from? You might have a pension, if you're lucky. A lot of people do still have pensions. But how are you going to get your money from your pension, from your Social Security, from all the investable assets that you have? How are you going to make sure that you don't run out of money before you run out of time? And then how are you going to decrease your retirement tax bill as much as you possibly can? All of these different things are considerations today that my grandpa didn't have to worry about back in the mid-'80s when he retired.
Yeah, retirement's definitely more complex than it was even back in 1980. So let's go back to that. I mentioned it was going to come back up when we were in 80. I just knew it. I looked forward and I was able to see that we'd still be talking about inflation, because as we know, we've hit some high inflation times again. June of 2022, 9.1. That was the largest increase in inflation year to year in 40 years. Gas prices went up. They're coming back down a little bit now. And groceries, look at eggs. They're up from a year ago, chicken, bread, all of that stuff. So we're feeling inflation right now. And again, if you're getting ready to retire, that's something people are thinking about. It could even make them be rethinking retirement.
They say history has a way of repeating itself. And with our time travel experience, we're able to live that extremely high inflationary time period in the 80s, extremely high inflationary time period right now. It creates the uncertainty that we strive to help our families try to address as we work with them to build their comprehensive retirement plans. So many pieces, so many uncertainties of what that future holds, unless you've got the skills that Doc Brown possesses to help us go get all of those answers.
Yeah, and people are paying a lot more for their day-to-day lifestyle, but also what's happening is completely different than what we saw from 1982 to 1999 in the stock market, where the stock market's down significantly. So people are logging into their 401k plans, you're logging into your IRA balances, and you're seeing those down maybe by 20 to 30%, and then you're shelling out a whole lot more as you go to the gas station and the grocery store, and everything else that you're trying to buy costs more. So people are getting crunched. And there's a lot of people who still want to retire today in the midst of this, but they're second guessing themselves. And that's really the power of the plan, is it provides you confidence, even in turmoil like we're seeing today, that you should still be able to retire, have the lifestyle that you want to, do all the things that you've been dreaming of, regardless of these other factors that nobody can control. Right? We can't control the stock market, we can't control inflation, we can't control interest rates, we can't control what the Fed does, but you can control your retirement plan, and you can still find a way to retire even in the midst of this. And that's the importance of having that comprehensive retirement plan in place.
One thing you mentioned too, we started talking about this point right here about pensions, right? Not very many people have them, but the unique time frames we're in right now, we're in a market correction, but we're in a significant rising interest rate environment as well. So those individuals that do have those pensions, it's something that you're going to want to understand the impact of these rising interest rates on that pension, the present day value, the lump sum options, they are impacted by this current environment. So yeah, we're in what some people might say a little bit of a storm, correction, significant market correction, significant inflation, rising interest rates. The uncertainty is something that people are really concerned about, and we try to help them provide that clarity that they're looking for.
Yeah, let's spend just a minute more on the pension plan, because that's a big deal. There are people today who are looking into the future and saying their pension plan lump sum, if you just took the lump sum from your pension as opposed to the annuity payment over the course of your lifetime, your lump sum amount is decreasing because interest rates are going up. So there's people today saying, actually, I'm going to pivot from my original retirement plan of retiring next year or 2 years from now. I'm going to retire now. So you can take your lump sum at the bigger dollar amount, and then your retirement plan is going to look a little bit different, but you have more secure. That's an analysis. If you're in that situation where you have a pension plan, you're on the doorsteps of retiring, and you got notice that your pension plan lump sum is changing, that's something that you need to consider. And if you don't have that plan, build out your retirement plan so you know exactly what you're going to do and why you're going to do it, and you have confidence in doing it.
Yeah, you might be feeling some of this uncertainty that Marty McFly and Doc Brown, otherwise known as Loren Merkle and Chawn Honkomp, are talking about. So there's an opportunity to talk to somebody about this, about your specific situation, and it's a retirement checkup call. You can schedule a 15-minute retirement checkup call by going to merkleretire.com, and you can talk about inflation, mortgage rates, interest rates, anything that's on your mind when it comes to retirement. So CDs and mortgages, we promised to make some comparison here. CDs, latest numbers I found on bankrate.com, 2.49% for the 1-year CD. Remember when we were back in 1980, guys?
Yeah.
The CD got us almost 15%. It was just a 3-month CD. 19%, almost 19%. It was a 3-month. That was a lot better as far as the CD went.
If you're looking for income, right?
Yeah.
If you just want to live off of income, off of dividends and CD interest or bank interest, that is pretty predictable income, and it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are feeling really good right now about seeing 2.5%, maybe 3%, because these are coming off of a long, more than a 10-year time frame of having these low rates where we really didn't have any options or really any good options for cash or safe, secure investments for a long time frame.
And this is part of the evolution of the economic cycles that we're going through is for the last 10 years, 15 years actually, CDs or bank money have not been a real adequate place to incorporate from a portfolio standpoint, but we're getting back there. It's still not there. But once we get through the pain of the increasing interest rate environment that we're in, because it is painful and everybody's feeling it for these reasons that we're talking about, once we get through that, retirees will actually start enjoying these higher rates because you will be able to provide yourself with a fixed income that is going to be much higher with a lesser dollar amount because of the higher interest rates off of bonds, but also because of the higher interest rates that you're going to receive from bank products as well. Thank you for watching this clip of Retiring Today, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have questions about your retirement plan, take advantage of the complimentary 15-minute retirement checkup phone call.